Hey guys, this is Kyle from InvestShare. I'm going to quickly share with you how I use macro technical analysis to help call the tops of the bull market and the bottoms of the bear market for Bitcoin. That way you don't have the anxiety when you're trying to sell your assets. Like, I understand there's a lot of anxiety that comes to selling and there's a lot of anxiety when it comes to buying. Using these tools will help get rid of the anxiety and build more confidence into knowing when to get out of the market and get back into the market. Sometimes there's even like a 2-year wait before getting out and getting back in. So these are longer term moves. If you are a day trader, you can do this with a separate account, let it grow passively for you, and then scalp while you're waiting for the tops and the bottoms to come in. Now, if you're someone who's just an investor, this is going to provide you such a huge edge of knowing when the tops and the bottoms are in, and just knowing when you should have your funds risk on and risk off is incredibly important for wealth management. So we'll dive into it together. I'll show you live examples of when I've bought, when I've sold, and how I use these indicators to help me with it. So let's get into it. So when it comes to trying to call the bottoms and the tops of the market, there are a few indicators that I use, but they all have to be communicating to each other at the same time in order for me to make an actual decision on whether or not I'm going to sell or buy Bitcoin. So the first chart I'm going to show you, it might look kind of intimidating right now, but I'm going to break it down to you, and by the end of this video, you're going to get a full understanding of it. And this chart, in combination to the other indicators, you're going to be able to call the top and the bottom like a pro, and you won't get the exact tops, you won't get the exact bottoms. If you can do that, then teach me. But I can show you how I call the bottoms and the tops with really good accuracy, and how much it was able to build my wealth. Is just ridiculous, guys. So I just want to share this with you, and all the links to all the charts are going to be down below. They're completely free. But let's dive into it. The first indicators I want to show you really quick are these two lines here that you see in my chart. I've got this green line here, and I've got this golden line right here. These are weekly moving averages. So what's happening in the background when these lines are being created is it's looking at the previous 200 weeks, and every single time a weekly candle closes, it'll update this line. So this right here is the weighted average of the previous 200 candles that occurred, and they tend to act as really strong levels of support or resistance. So we got to watch them throughout the history of Bitcoin, and we can see how they price action behaved, and we can see that, okay, these tend to act as really good bottom indicators, but it's not the only one that you could use. So for example, you can see here, price action got below the 200 weekly EMA, and price got as low, like it started here at like 26,900. But you know, just by looking at this chart, that we actually made it much further down. We actually dropped about $10,000 further before finding a bottom. So this is just an example right in front of your face on about how you can't just use this one indicator to call the bottom, but we're going to use it to prepare that the bottom is coming in. And if you're someone who needs a little bit of time before buying something, then this is the perfect indicator for you to give you an alarm to set and say, okay, we have a candle close below this. Now it's time to prepare to buy. Doesn't mean buy, but prepare to buy. All right. So when we're below this, I call it like the golden accumulation zone, because it's like the best time to prepare to accumulate or to accumulate the asset. So throughout this, we can see that the moment that we got back above it, this 200 weekly EMA, that we never really saw that price ever again. It just kept going up ever since. We go back in time. This was the COVID crash back in March 2020. We had price action go back below the 200 weekly EMA and hit the 300 weekly EMA as support. When we came back out of it, we never saw that price again. Same here. Price action got below the 200 weekly EMA, used the 300 as support, got a higher high, got out of it, never saw that price again, and so on and so forth, right? So these are really great indicators to prepare you to look at the other ones that I'm about to show you. The next indicator I'm going to want to show you really quick on this chart is this green and red channel right here. This is called the Gaussian channel. It uses 3 EMAs, 3 moving averages, and an average true range. So it doesn't just use price action history to determine where its line goes. It also uses volume as well. So it has the combination of volume data and price action data to define these lines to give you an idea of when the bottom or the top is in. So when price action gets below the center EMA, you'll notice that the candles turn red. And that kind of gives you a big warning sign that the bear market is about to occur. And the opposite's true for when price action gets above the center EMA. The candles start to turn green, and it prepares you for the bull market to occur. If you use the Gaussian channel by itself, it's not going to be perfect. Like you can see that we had price action go below, turn red, and then we came right back up to like the all-time highs again. Let's see if I can find another bad example. Right here, right below here, we thought the bear market would go much further down, then we end up recovering really quickly. So you can't just use this indicator by itself, but if you use it in confluence with other technical analysis, it's going to help you dramatically. For example, how you could just use it in one way is if you know how to draw formations, which basically is when you have a trend line like this. When you have 3 touch points, it validates a trend. And if you see that trend has broken, like right here, and the previous resistance acts as support by creating a new higher high, then you know that the previous resistance has acted as support, and it can validate a trend to go one direction. In this case scenario, this was a macro formation, so it started the macro bull market trend. Here's another example. Downtrending resistance. We got price action come out, came back in, had to act as support, create a new higher high, and then created the next bull market. So for us, the bull market with investor share started around like 25,000, but most people thought of it as the bull market when we got above like the $30,000 level. And there's some people coming in right now as we speak thinking that the bull market is just starting at the previous all-time high. Once you create a new all-time high, that's the bull market, right? No, you can actually get in way, way sooner than that just by using the Gaussian channel indicator in confluence with the macro support and resistance, like drawing these formations. It takes a bit of time for these formations to paint a picture like this, but when they do, you have a really good understanding of when the next bull market's about to occur. So the Gaussian channel, you can see it turn green here, and then we got the confirmation and the higher high. The Gaussian channel turned green during the confirmation, and you got the higher high. Let's see if we can find another macro example. Right here, downtrending level resistance. This was back when Bitcoin was worth like $1,000 going down to 250. Macro downtrending resistance, broke it. Gaussian channel got above it, so the candle turned green. We didn't really get a confirmation bounce like we usually do, but we can see that the Gaussian channel acted as support, and we created a new higher high. And we also had horizontal resistance act as support, and we created a higher high. So we still got a confirmation, but it was just a little bit later. But again, those prices were never seen again. All right, so that's pretty much it when it comes to the Gaussian channel and the 2 EMAs. There's another indicator I want to quickly show you that's pretty popular. It's called the pi cycle top. But the problem with the pi cycle top when it comes to trying to call these tops is that it's a lagging indicator. And I'll show you why really quick. If we dissect this indicator and we open it up and see what's inside, we can see that the inputs are based on moving averages. And these are daily moving averages. So every 350 days, you could see that this is a 350-day moving average. So every day that goes by, this candle will adjust and change. And we have the short moving average here, which is 111 days. When those 2 EMAs cross, it will create a pop-up like this that says pi cycle top. Even though it's calling and showing the perfect top, these crossed when price action got down around here. So this would have popped up as a lagging indicator at around 49,000. So we would have gotten out just using this indicator alone around 49,000. The last time it crossed, we can see that price action came up all the way to 20,000, and it crossed around 10,000. So you would have given up about 50% gains just from that lag right there. And another example, I'm pretty sure, we have the pi cycle top here. It crossed, rather than $1,000, it was around like 580. And we have another little pi cycle top here. And the top was around $116 and it was around like 97 when it actually crossed. So the Pi cycle top is great, but it's a little bit lagging. And the fact that what I use it for is if I sold my assets and it came in, let's say a few weeks later, then I'll feel more confident that I won't need to look at the charts again. All right, so let's go over to the other indicators and how you can use this in combination with this. So if I go over here, it's a little bit brighter. So this is a website called Chainexpose.com. It uses data very similar to Glassnode, if you've heard of them. Glassnode is like a paid version of Chainexpose. Chainexpose is completely free to use. And it's pulling data from BSC, basically from Bitcoin scan websites and seeing what other holders are doing with their wallets. And it's tracking all that through an API and then giving you this data. So here, this will actually tell you, this specific chart will show you how much supply is at a profit or a loss. What we want to look for when we're trying to call the tops, this is more so an indicator that's best for calling the tops, by the way. It's not perfect at calling the bottoms because there's a lot to look out for. But if you look at when you're trying to find the bottom, you'll notice that when about 50 to 40% of the supply is in a profit, that's when you want to prepare to buy using this chart. When you're looking to sell, you want to look for this chart. Basically, if you see people at 100% profit, between 80 and 100%, that's when you want to prepare to sell. Right now, at this moment, we are 99% of the profit at 62,000. Yeah, sorry, at the price 62,000, 99% of holders are in a profit right now. So there's inevitably going to be sell pressure. But where we are in the market right now, I'm going to show you the other indicators and how this isn't actually going to be the top, but we're definitely going to have sell pressure. And what's likely going to occur is over the next month or so, this chart is actually going to reset as new buyers come in. So as new people buy the asset, you'll notice that this chart is going to reflect those new purchases, and the percentage of supply that's in a profit is going to go down from the new buyers. So basically the dumb money is going to start to come in now. But normally when all the other charts say it's time to sell, and you see that a large amount of people are in a profit, like between 80 and 90, between 80 and 100, like I said before, then you need to get out. Now the next chart I want to show you is the relative unrealized profit chart. This is like the main one I like to go to. This will show me when we're in a state of capitulation, when a large amount of people are at a loss, and when the market is stressed from the previous lows that we've had and the percentage movements that we've just received. It will give you an idea of when the market's become overheated. And right now we're about halfway there. So this chart's telling us that this isn't the top, but we need this one to also tell us that it's the top before we listen to all the other things, right? So let's go over this chart really quick. So when we're below the zero line, like I said, state of capitulation, prepare to buy. If it wasn't for this chart, I probably wouldn't have been able to buy Bitcoin around $16,000 without feeling the anxiety that we could keep going down lower. So this told me that we're likely at the bottom in confluence with everything else. So below the zero line is called the opportunity zone, and it's called that for an obvious reason. Right now we're at 1.52, but when we get to 2.35, this chart is going to indicate that we're overheated, and it is called the top perfectly every single time. Like if you look at the last time we were overheated, it was around like 2.79 level, and that was at, Bitcoin was at about 57,000 at the all-time high levels from the previous cycle. And then the cycle before that, when we were at 20K, we were definitely overheated. It almost broke the charts. So it was at like above 3.11 zone. So it's above the overheated zone that they have charted here. And then here as well, it called the top. Here it called the top. Here it called this huge spike, but it wasn't in the overheated zone. But it did a really good job at showing you the relative unrealized profits and losses from that huge spike from the past. Anyways, yeah, overheated zone, prepare to sell. Opportunity zone, prepare to buy. So that is pretty much it. Those are the only real charts you need to know, guys. So like the unrealized profit and loss, below 0, buy, above 2.35, sell. The supply and profit and loss, if you see price action up here around like 99, like 80% or higher, in confluence with what we just saw at 2.35 on the unrealized, relative unrealized profits. You see that on a supply at a large amount of profits in confluence with that, you get out. And if you look at the chart here that I've shown you, and you see that we've lost momentum on the momentum lines, and the channel is starting to turn red. Like all this stuff will help call the bottoms and the tops perfectly. And I've got these trend lines here that curve because we have an asset that just doesn't want stuff going up. But we've got a curved trend line here to help call the tops. We have a curved trend line here to help call the bottoms. So all this confluence, guys, is really going to help you know when the tops or bottoms coming in. I think based on the current information that we have with the investment schedule of the ETFs and all the stuff that we've seen so far on the chart, that we're likely going to see Bitcoin reach around like $120,000, $140,000 during this cycle before we start seeing some real stress in the market. And I think the top is going to be around there. There are going to be people that are going to say Bitcoin's going to go to $10 million. They said the same thing when Bitcoin was at $10,000 and we got to, like 62K. Just be very, very careful about what you hear. Use all your technical analysis as your warning sign that things are about to go down, where the trends start to reverse. Don't listen to the news unless it's like a huge fundamental change. Like the spot ETFs that came out, that was a big, big deal. Like now we know mathematically how much our market cap's about to increase from their investment schedule. And like there's a bearish case scenario of like $160,000 from that investment schedule alone. But we don't know what retail is going to do. We could see a stress way before that. So I'm preparing mentally for around 140K to act as a top. But, if we end up keep going up and all these indicators that I just showed you don't communicate that the top is in, then I'm going to listen to them. And I'm going to wait until the market says it's time to get out. And not listen to the news about what people think that the highs are going to be. And if you guys have any questions about this, you can let me know in the Discord. You can message me a comment on YouTube. I'll reply as soon as I can. And I'll do everything I can to help you out. But everything I've shown you here is going to be in the description down below, and it's going to help you out dramatically. It allowed me to, buy Bitcoin when we were at $12,000 here. It allowed me to verify this as the macro move. And all I had to do was wait for this momentum to fail, and I closed my inverse perpetual position. And I didn't sell my assets though, but I did close my inverse perpetual trade. I sold my assets when we lost this uptrending momentum because that's when all the other indicators said that this was the top. So I sold everything around 52K. And then I rebought when all the other indicators were saying, okay, we're in a state of capitulation. A large amount of people are in a loss. We crossed below the 200 weekly EMA. We're at legacy support. We got a double bottom in. Everything was screaming for me to buy, so I bought. And then I did inverse perpetual long. Closed some of it when we lost this momentum here. But I closed the rest of it around 40 some. So I was able to turn 20 Bitcoin into 40 Bitcoin just from this one trade right here. And here I was able to turn basically a $15,000 account into $300,000 just from this big move right here. I closed some of it right here, did some scalp trading here, and then closed it all here. I ended up having about 10 Bitcoin at this point, and I sold all but one of those Bitcoins, and I rebought 20 at this level and kept the profit difference. So this macro analysis, as easy, hopefully easy as it seems, was able to completely change my life. And these are just a handful of trades. These are only about total of maybe 4 actions that I've taken that allowed me to get to where I'm at now. So I crossed my fingers for you guys that this was enough. But if you have any questions about this, you can reach out to me in the Discord, and I'll do everything I can to help you out. You guys have yourself an amazing day, and thanks for watching.